Hey, Ritzy Roy here, and today I want to discuss something that doesn't necessarily apply to Smash Bros. It is a general concept I guess anyone can experience of any hobby they enjoy doing. It's something we're all gonna experience at some point in time. It's inevitable. It's the plateau. Now, I don't want to release too many downer videos about Smash Bros. I did just release the one that was low-key saying this game is dying, which it's not dying per se, it's just the online starting to slow down a little bit, but that's beyond the point. So, what is the plateau? How do you get past the plateau? And why have you gotten there? Let's first start with what it is. The basic gist of it would be is when your improvement becomes really, really slow. An example would be, let's say you're building a structure or a heal, and you get that structure really tall, but you're starting to get to the point where no matter how many more resources you put into it, it can't seem to grow without completely crumbling, or you're just having trouble growing the height of the structure and keeping it stable. Now, the thing you need to understand is that just because your structure has gotten to the maximum height doesn't mean that is the maximum height. You can physically grow it too. It just probably means you gotta change your approach, or you're not putting the right materials into it. Let's translate that to Smash Bros, because that's what I know pretty well, and I think I can probably talk about this. A good example of where I am starting to reach my plateau with is matchups. Relating back to materials, I have learned how to do combos, jair, offstage play, you know, all that real crazy thing, all that real basic stuff that like boys need to know how to play the game, but the more abstract things are starting to mess me up. Abstract stuff such as the Cloud matchup, the Joker matchup, like, you know, just things that you can't easily sum up in 2 words or make a 3-minute guide on how to do. I'll go to my replays. So something I started doing lately is saving VODs of when I do alright into a character or I beat them, because they help me see progress and I start to get the specific details. Because something really important about breaking the plateau is when you're trying to understand abstract concepts or just get past roadblocks, you're probably going to need details. Way more details than you needed before, because again, this is when growth slows down, and growth is going to slow down because this is probably when you can't just add broad general stuff to your repertoire. You actually got to start adding more quality, I guess, building materials to your repertoire, which for me, that's adding specific details and learning more intricate stuff about the matchup. Ignore that really bad start. But relating this to Cloud, I know that Cloud is bad off stage. I know that Cloud has a bigger sword than me, and I know Cloud has limit, but the more, I guess, specific details I had to learn about him were that his moves come out quicker. Like, my moves have less in-lag than his, but his come out a lot faster than mine. As you can see, his back air came out faster than my back air. We both tried to bear each other there. That was just random. That was just random ultimate shifting stuff, you know. I should say that shifting, that's whatever. But basically, his moves come out faster, and his off-stage play is a tad bit stronger. I think my recovery is better, but I think like he is a little more scarier off the map than I am, because he's harder to reverse. So that's some more specific details. Another example, because I don't just want this to be about Smash Bros, would be let's give a real life example. I started college recently, and I took a calculus class, and at first it was kind of hard, specifically learning the concept of derivatives, until I realized that derivatives and slope aren't really that different. It's just you're using like the same mechanics or the same tools you learned before, but how you apply them differently. For derivatives and slopes, you're still solving for x, but in the case of derivatives, you're going to be solving for x at a specific point in time, at a specific value, and realizing that x isn't one static, x or slope isn't always going to be one static number. It can be multiple. There's going to be multiple solutions to the derivative. There's holes in the derivative, or no solutions, or stuff like that you need to find. And sometimes the solution will be infinite. That is different from algebra, where usually in algebra it's just like x is going to equal 2, x is going to equal 3, and it doesn't matter which point in time you're at, your x isn't going to be changing too much. It's usually the y that changes. The y is the output and the x is the input, but it gets complicated in calculus. I don't want to get too much into it, because honestly, it's a pretty bad time. Not bad time, but it was a pretty stressful time. I don't want to relive too much. We passed, we're out. We broke that roadblock. So now that you get like basically what I'm saying, is a plateau is when you have to learn more big boy concepts that you don't grasp as fast. That is the plateau for most people. It happens in art, it happens all over the place. It's just the learning of things that aren't instant, like jab, bair, and combos, things like that. So now that I think hopefully y'all understand it, I want to talk about how do you beat the plateau, how do you get past roadblocks. I won this by the skin of my teeth. I didn't really record because it was a win. I mainly recorded just to see myself fighting Cloud and to understand what I do differently, what I did wrong there. And I want to talk about, let's get some Joker concept real quick. We'll do another quick VOD review on fighting Joker. I want to talk about one of the most important things for increasing, I guess, getting better building quality material, or better building material for your structure, is that you can't just keep adding the same stuff to it. You can't just keep tacking on. You can't just improve your combos and get better at doing what you did before. Like, that will do it. Sometimes you might need to look at it from a different angle and add new stuff, implement new things you aren't doing before, and see if maybe things you were doing before were bad, i.e. if you had bad habits that weren't too useful. Example here would be when I started out this Joker matchup, I was super nervous because I always lose to this character. So I started out at the beginning of the game nervous. I was getting hit off stage a lot. I was whiffing my normals. I didn't have my footing at all. When I'm VOD reviewing this, I can definitely see now I just was kind of throwing stuff out, hoping it connected, playing super duper fast, trying to fill the player out, which is not bad to fill the player out, but showing this level of fear and nervousness kind of messed up my lead, when in reality, I probably shouldn't have showed my hand as much as I should have played slow. That's just a specific thing for Joker. But going back to the better building materials and stuff, that was just a really thing. I had fought them previously, so but going back to the building materials and stuff, the example would be with Roy, is that up to this point, I've gotten really far by just simply looking for jab, looking for forward air, and just looking for my combo stars and blowing people up. Which that is good, but that is a bad habit in certain matchups like Joker, where he has really good whip punish and stuff. So I had to realize that in this case, I need to apply a different concept, and that was defensive play with Joker. I know it's crazy, like Joker not just running at you and mashing, but no, you can't just run at this character and mash. He will punish you, you will die, you're gonna take a lot of damage for it, you're gonna look stupid. So in this fight, I tried to just be a tad bit more defensive than normal, not just running at him like a headless chicken. And I tried to sort of employ off stage play, and not immediately go off stage to edge guard. Like, I still do it every now and then, as you can see here, but the old Ritzy Roy would have just, every time I grabbed him, forward through him, and just immediately tried to run off stage with fair, which the risk reward's not in your favor if you do that. So I guess it's like a similar general concept of, you know, exploit people when they're off stage, but how I'm applying it has to be a bit different here, depending on who I'm fighting and just the scenario. Let me, let's actually go. I think it'd be better if I go to the lab to show what I'm talking about. The more specific things. What we're going to actually just, I think I kind of got this point across, but what we're going to have to discuss the next concept, which is change your point of view. If you're having trouble, you know, improving from your point of view, maybe you need to do something different or just experiment with stuff. For me, I literally went out and picked up those two characters. I got me a Joker, and I got a Cloud. I like practiced the characters, played them in Elite for a bit. I haven't taken them to tourney yet, but I have been, you know, experimenting, trying to learn the characters and see what they do. And in that time, I've learned their strengths and weaknesses, and I've started to see like what you can exploit on them when you're fighting them. You see that better when you're playing them versus when you're playing against them, or if you're just losing to them. So when I was playing Cloud, I immediately realized my hitboxes are big. They come out super quick. Limit is OP. My on stage is broken. I'm very fast. You know, I could be borderline top 10 if it wasn't for this, my recovery. Now, I already knew that before, but I didn't quite fully understand how to exploit the recovery before. As I played Cloud, I realized his recovery is super reliant on the second double jump. And when he's at this point, he needs to double jump. If he gets off stage, I guess, like, at this vertical level, he has to double jump. Like, he's not like other characters, he might have, like, other side beats and stuff like that. No, he's going to double jump. And if you can take that from him, it's really huge. However, as I play Cloud, I also realized there's counterplay to that. People will want to take your double jump, and Cloud has the option to choose people that are trying to do that. If he's up or he has a stock lead, he will go for this. Look out for it. It's hard. However, both of those options, the double jump and the up B cheese, can be baited with either running off and jumping back, which is something you see pros do a lot, or sometimes they'll run to the edge and shield, and then run back and let them grab the stage and do something called ledge trapping. But the worst option you could probably do as Roy is just literally run off into him and trying to fair all the time. Because if Cloud has always resources off stage, it's risky just always running into him trying to fair. Unless like you're doing it as a mix-up or something, because you might get hit. His stuff comes out a lot faster than yours, and he has better offstage play than you. So that's just some like specific details I learned about Cloud. While I'm going to Joker, I can discuss one last concept, which is when Cloud has limit, he's going to almost always hold on to that as much as he can, and he usually will start exhausting his double jump. If you can take his double jump off stage when he has limit, that's really powerful. But again, recognize you're also very open to getting reversal and mixed up if you're playing Roy, because his stuff comes out to tap it quicker than yours when you're off the map. You'll always recover faster than him, but like your things come out a lot slower, I guess, when you're out there. So for Joker, I played him a bit. There's a few things I learned. His offstage play is phenomenal. He has really powerful edge guarding. His combo grabs are really, really crazy. He does a lot of damage. Very solid neutral, almost Sheik-esque neutral. Good zoning, really hard to hit. He's super small, but he does struggle with a few minor things. Since he's a top tier, it's gonna be a lot harder to find his weaknesses. His recovery is not bad by any means, but if there's anything that's exploitable about Joker, it's probably his tether recovery. Now, just know he can mix this thing up a lot. He can do tether cancel, side B, tether. There's a lot of stuff he can do, but just recognize that when Joker up Bs and he's coming to stage, you can kind of recognize like a straight line. Let me slow the game down a bit. Show this. When Joker is up being the stage, there's a straight line you can draw from where he's at that he's just gonna go straight through it. With Roy, because he has really big beefy hitboxes, I learned that sometimes if I'm trying to go off stage, I can just put a hitbox out there in that straight line and intercept it, which sometimes will work. But I also learned that against Joker's off stage, unless you've exhausted his double jump and all of his resources, with Roy, you're honest to God just better off trying to ledge trap him, standing at the ledge and just throwing jab and stuff like that. Because unlike Cloud, who's like, you know, a little better than you off stage, Joker is undeniably a better character than you off stage. Like his air play is better. His stuff comes out way quicker. He doesn't fall as fast as you. He has really good air drift, and if he's using tether properly, he has like 3 jumps, which is super annoying to deal with. And he can reversal you really hard. And if he reversals you, down gun is a menace to deal with. You might just die to that. If you're getting down gunned as Roy, you probably just immediately have to up B to try to trade with it and just take percentage. That's better than letting him take your jump. Do not let Joker take your jump if you're Roy, because you will just die. What else did I learn about Joker when I played him? Oh yeah, gun is super broken. It is really good at just stopping people who just want to walk forward and run into you. As you can see, it's a really humongous, horizontal hitbox that you can just throw out in neutral. It's good. It racks up percentage really fast. Almost like melee fox lasers, but not nearly as spammable. Still really, really potent. And since it doesn't have much in lag, it's a super powerful way to bait people to jump in, which Joker loves when you jump in on him, because he can dash back, grab, down throw you, dash back, F tilt, dash back, dash forward, dash attack. But there's just so much you can do by running back. As you can see, Joker low profile is kind of hard whenever he's running, so he's super good at running away from you. Added to the fact that he's naturally really fast, and I think he has a good pivot grab. As you can see, it's a decent one. It's a little annoying jumping in on this kid. What I recommend, or what I've learned, is that people who were fighting me and they mixed in like double jump in, double jump back, full hops, jumping in place, short hops, and all those crazy things, even empty hops, and sometimes tomahawking me, those were hard to deal with. So I applied that to my Roy gameplay, and I started trying to do that more when I fought Joker, which was just not always telegraphing my jump in, because Joker is ultimately looking to play defensively against you and bait you and punish you. You know, he's a bait and punish character, basically. But I could have just said he's a bait and punish character, Or I could have learned and went out and learned how to play the character, because you know, all of my time playing Smash Bros, I knew he was a bait and punish character, but it's not until I've played him and changed my perspective so I've realized how he baits and punishes you and how to get around it and what's going to be difficult for him specifically. Like, you can learn that from a Roy POV as well and just keep fighting him a lot. A lot of pros do that, but it also might help if you literally play the character, or you fight someone who plays the character and talk to them and you get their input on it, like what's hard for them to deal with. So yeah, that was my second point, is how you can just change your perspective. And the last one, this is going to be hard to get over because it's not something I can just tell you to go to the lab and do. The last one is just going to be your mentality. Recognize that getting past the plateau is going to take time. It's not like before where you learned how to jab bear people in like a day. It's going to be a while. You got to grind. Don't give up. Honestly, it's just really about not giving up. Don't tilt and don't think you're the best player out there. From the top of your hill, you'll always be able to look at other people's hills and mountains and realize that there will always be taller and shorter mountains than yours. Don't go out, trying to knock other people's mountains down, mess up their concepts, but at the same time, don't think, oh, I'm the best, or I built the best structure and I have nowhere to improve. And even if you literally have the best structure, let's say you are MK Lil, even MK Lil still improves by like fighting other people, looking at VODs and stuff like that, and just grinding the game. So there's always room to improve. And even if it feels like you can't get better, there's always somewhere you can get better at. Whether it's literally getting rid of bad building material or bad habits, or ironing out old concepts like learning combos better, getting more consistent, or maybe changing how you approach a matchup. For me, it was how I approached the matchup. That was like my biggest, the real big roadblock I was dealing with was the abstract, as I said, but specifically knowing the details. The devil is in the details. That's my weakness. So hopefully, moving forward, if any of y'all are starting to deal with this issue, you feel like there's something you love grinding out and you just can't get better at it, just remember, there's a way forward. It's gonna get slower, the going is gonna get harder, but I truly believe that it is worth it if you just stick through it, iron out your weaknesses, get better, and eventually go on to greater feats. This is Ritzy Roy signing out. Good luck breaking your plateau.